Welcome to the DeFi Standard. This is Patty XRP and
Mickey B. Fresh. So today we're going to talk about a couple different topics. First, we have the news from the Flare Networks has released their tax analysis from the firm that they hired and commissioned to present the tax analysis on the Spark airdrop for US residents specifically. So we're going to go over that. We're also going to go over the new layer 2 solution on the XRP ledger called the XRPL and the project Evernodes, which is going to have, which states in the white paper, a 5th airdrop for XRP holders in the future. And they're also going to touch on Trustline's upcoming beta and Probity's beta. So let's start with the tax here, Patty. We have the blog released from the Flare Networks.
Cool. Yeah. So let's start off with the conclusion here. And
well, let's start off with we are not tax advisors.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and nothing is financial advice. And I am not a tax attorney. Patty's not a tax attorney. So don't take anything we say as financial or tax advice.
Yeah. And so with this, Flare commissioned an independent tax consultancy agency, and basically their conclusion from what they gave them was that our commission tax analysis concludes that the method by which users claim their Spark would constitute a forward arrangement such that the subsequent 85% distribution would be treated as having the same value as the initial 15% day zero distribution. That said, we again note that the analysis heavily emphasizes that cryptocurrency is a novel industry facing high levels of scrutiny and potential challenge by worldwide tax authorities. Therefore, we urge our community members to consult their own tax advisors and perform their own due diligence, which is something, me and Mickey individually have different tax advisors. So like we'll be talking to ours individually, and you can utilize this kind of like analysis that they receive to bring to your lawyer or tax agent, and then they have all the information that they need to around like what exactly were the terms and what were the actions taken to receive this airdrop. So for anybody that did a self-custody claim, you'll remember that when you entered the message key in to your XRPL account, so that Ethereum address, you had to sign that, and it costs like 0.0012 of an XRP or something like that, and you had to pay that XRP in order to sign the transaction. So that's kind of what they're talking about, is how that claim went down. That can constitute this idea of a forward arrangement where everything is based on the initial day zero distribution.
So that voids the dominion and control aspect of it. So basically what Patty's saying here is, according to their analysis, there is no liability on any income tax of the whole distribution of the Flare Network Spark token. That means the initial 15% at zero and the remaining 85%, because you made a payment to purchase this. And now this is only for self-custody wallets. And many of you are going to ask, well, what about the exchanges? Well, to be honest, we don't know. And, this is just a fact. You chose to leave your decentralized crypto asset on a centralized platform. And now you are at their will with everything from distribution to tax to everything. So that's just a conscious decision everyone made in December. But this is specifically for self-custody wallets. We don't know what exchanges, and I know many of you will ask questions on that. But regarding the self-custody here, Patty, I think this is big, because talking to your tax advisor is not just handing them stuff and say, what do you think? I think at this point in crypto, many of us are knowledgeable enough. You need to speak with your tax advisor and almost educate them on exactly what's taking place here with the Flare Networks airdrop, and how this is not like the Bitcoin Cash fork. This is not an ICO airdrop. This is completely different and something completely new. So I think you need to explain that to them and show them this blog, actually, because this was commissioned by an actual firm that says this. So the payment was made. So I'm comfortable with this. This satisfies for me. in the US, and hopefully it satisfies everybody else who's self-custody.
Yeah, and a few things on that, Mickey. I did see Flare getting some pushback on Twitter about releasing this, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. They're just trying to help people that they already paid for to get this analysis done. So to me, this is very helpful and kind of reminding me of the steps that I took to claim. And now I have something that I could actually present to a tax advisor and
Mhm.
talk about, which I think is going to be very helpful for me when I, end up deciding what we're going to do, at least for me, in terms of the Spark
Mhm.
airdrops that are happening after the initial 15%. And then
What was the
addition,
pushback for?
it was people annoyed that they're worrying about the US, which I don't
But it doesn't
understand
affect anyone
else.
else.
Yeah,
I
it's just
mean, they're
helping
just,
us.
yeah. So it's like, okay, they're just giving us an out. It didn't hurt anyone. I believe that, SPQR Lee did a video and he showed that in the tax laws, they dove into it, that it's not in there. Even, before the
Yeah,
payment
for
was
the
made, it
UK.
wouldn't, for the UK, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, UK, it wouldn't be income tax. And now we have an analysis here that it wouldn't be income tax in the US. Now, Flair said they had this analysis. So this is why I think Twitter, you have to be careful weeding through the noise. There's a lot of noise, and people jumped the gun a month or so ago and started assuming everything that it would be income tax, and Twitter accounts went on their thing and without all the information. Now that we have the analysis, we could see, okay, this satisfies it for me. And this is also a very opinionated, tax law. There's no black or white here. So it's something that's really not covered, but this analysis does fit it in there neatly where it would be just capital gains. So remember, you're still going to pay capital gains from zero. So you assume you got your Spark at zero. So whatever you do sell it at, you're still going to pay full capital gains. You just won't have that income tax on it.
Absolutely. And another thing I want to bring up before, too much FUD is spread around this, people knew full well that when they decided to leave their XRP on an exchange for the snapshot back in December 12th of 2020, that you were going to be at the whims of those exchanges. I expressly remember having conversations with different groups I'm in around the, leading up to the snapshot date. And that's part of the reason I opted to do like 90% of mine through a Ledger Nano. I did do 10% about on split between Bitstamp and Coinbase just to hedge that maybe I wasn't doing the claim right. But this was something that was known that if you rely on exchange to do this for you, you'll be subject to however they handle it, and if they give you the distribution through the entire 3-year time frame.
Now it looks like almost every single exchange has been supportive. The only one I see that had a little problem was Binance US, but everyone has claimed that they would distribute the Spark, as that I'm aware of. Now with Songbird, there's a little pushback in right now because these exchanges are just getting wind of it. I saw Nexo saying, "Oh, well, we're not going to participate in that." See, that comment that they made, well, they're getting the distribution. It's like they like it or not, it's coming to the same wallet, the same type of address. The question is, are they going to support trading of it like they were with Spark? And now all of a sudden they get this new thing. Well, they got to pass it on. So it's very early. And now this is a community effort. We can't lean on the Flare networks, and Flare Limited team. They set up the whole Spark, airdrop, the whole thing. Now it's on the community to push for Songbird that we want. Now, also another thing I think, Patty, keep in mind here is this is going to be very inexpensive. So even if the exchange you were on didn't support it right away and you're worried about, well, how can I participate in the testnet then? I mean, you should be able to with like 50 or 100 bucks. It's not financial advice, but be able to grab some Songbird that would probably equal out to what you would get in the actual airdrop, because it's only going to be a 15% of what your XRP holdings were. And if Songbird's at a penny, it's not going to be very much then. So everyone should be able to buy for just a little money and then be able to participate if you don't get the airdrop right away. And for those that weren't part of the December 12th snapshot 2020, you could do that as well.
Yeah, and I just want to stress patience with this process. Songbird's not going to be going live, until probably the beginning of September. And, that's a lot of time between then and now. The language coming back from exchanges that I see seems like a lot of them don't understand, what's going on with it. So I would just say give it time. This information just came out last week. So let's just see how they react over time. And hopefully, with people kind of pressuring them, saying this is something we want, then they will end up distributing it. I mean, it's possible they don't distribute it to you on day one, but maybe they see over the course of 2 weeks that, oh, there's actually a lot of people using this token. Like, people are excited to participate in the Songbird network, and that leads them to distribute it at a later date. I know that's not ideal, but like, you could still get it even if you didn't get it right when it launches. So I just wanted to add that part in.
Exactly. And also, if we get other announcements from other projects that are launching on the Songbird or supporting Songbird and Flare that are independent and big names. Remember, Flare had a lot of investors. So we could see announcements like that push the industry and push the market to support it. It's literally, like you said, a week. So I think we need to be patient there, but act like a community. And Flare Networks, remember, they said they're not going to be the ones that are going to be mainly developing the Flare network and the Songbird. This is a community-driven network. It is a little different than the XRP ledger. XRP ledger is community-driven too, but it had Ripple to get it off the ground, and now it's fully established. Flare is going to start from the beginning as community governance and community-led. So we have to start acting like a community and go to the exchanges and push. And I think that's something we could do as a community, like push back against BTC markets, push back against Nexo, and write to them. Say, I'm a customer. All you need to do is distribute your token to me.
Absolutely. And I think we're already seeing people doing that. So I'm starting to see some of community-led initiatives to get these exchanges on board. And like I said, luckily there is still a lot of time for that to happen. So Mickey, with that, I was looking to move us over into announcements with Trustline and just some of the new stuff they will have in the next beta. So with this, I found they put out a LinkedIn post within the last 24 hours. I haven't seen it on Twitter yet, but basically they announced that Ore and XRP DEX trading will be ready for the next beta release on Android and iOS. So originally just Apple devices were able to participate. Android's now going to be involved, and we're going to be able to just do some really simple swaps between XRP and Ore. You can put in, orders for it, see what it's trading at on the DEX and different things like that. So, a slow evolution of this project, just, starting to come online, some of the different features they're going to have, but definitely exciting, the ability to trade on the DEX in the future. And I think just kind of highlights some of the synergies we'll see with the XRP ledger and Flare going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a project, just to remind everyone. So Probity is built on the Flare network, but Trustline network is going to be on Flare and the XRP ledger. So you'll be able to trade the RA stablecoin on the XRP ledger DEX, but you will be, if you issue, you put collateral into the Probity vault, and then you issue RA to your XRP wallet, which could be like Zum. So this is going to use both networks literally and technically. So I think this is really just a powerful whole DApp ecosystem that's being built here, because it's literally tying the two networks together, where we're going to use both of them. So this is where Flare acts as a trustless gateway. And now with the betas, it's going to be great. So now we'll be able to test on beta, and then when Songbird goes live, we'll be able to test with real value on there, and then it'll eventually launch on Flare. So we'll have these two stages of testing that I think are really important for the community to get familiar with and move forward.
Yep, absolutely.
So when did that begin? Did they set a date yet?
I don't think it's out yet. They are just going to have it for when the next beta releases. I expect to see some more announcements from them soon, especially with them saying Probity will be on the Songbird network. So I imagine Matt's probably getting some stuff in order, and the rest of the team, in order to inform everybody on what their plans are around that. Cool.
And let's just remind everyone, RA is the FXRP and Spark backed stablecoin, decentralized global stablecoin. That's what RA is, and it'll be issued on the XRP ledger.
Yeah, as a
counterparty.
Yeah, as a counterparty-less asset too. So that would be, put that up there with XRP, makes it much easier for people to swap in and out of XRP on the DEX because they don't have to rely on like an IOU from maybe GateHub or Bitstamp in the future and stuff like that. So, as we see if the DEX starts getting more volume and stuff, this is where I think Ore could potentially become a pretty big deal, Mickey.
Absolutely. Ari is going to be huge. I mean, he's a Ripple developer, and the team there is working really hard. I mean, it's in active development still. There's going to be a governance token called TCN that's also going to be part of that. And they're working on building the Probity DAO. And then the Trustline will be the mobile app that allows you to do all this.
Awesome.
So that's how they are different from each other, and also work together. But I think that leads us next into the segue to our next piece here, which is a really exciting, and I thought some really great information came out of this. So it was released by, I believe his name was Richard Holland
and Scott Chamberlain. Yeah. And their firm looks to be, it's called Lex Automagica. So interesting name they got. They look to be Australian based. And this is going to be they call it Evernode, which is going to be a permissionless, flexible, scalable layer 2 smart contract network composed from the XRP ledger. And, with this, I think this is really interesting. We've seen, if you're familiar with like the strong nodes, some of these different ecosystems that provide computational and consensus resources for dApps or different blockchain projects is kind of becoming big in the space as there's more bandwidth needed, and being able to kind of allow like a group, especially a blockchain like decentralized group, to bootstrap your dApp project on whatever blockchain you're running on is just like a big use case that's forming now. And with this Evernode project, they have a few other, I guess, like code bases that they need to get finished that are going to wrap up into this Evernode project. Those need to be finished up. Hooks on the XRP ledger needs to be passed as an amendment for this project to actually take hold. And they kind of speak to it as like they're able to like bolt on this layer 2 consensus to the layer 1 of the XRP ledger, which allows it to kind of act seamlessly through the hooks on XRP ledger accounts. So that's really interesting. Also, they're going to allow people that are node operators the ability to help run some of these different dApps, and for that you will have kind of your own token representing how good your node is that will be able to be traded on the XRP ledger DEX in order to price like how good these different nodes are, and hopefully that will provide an economic way to price in and out of good and bad node operators, which I think is really cool. And especially since they're trying to use the DEX, like that's something that's just super underutilized on the XRP ledger. That's really powerful. So I think I'm most excited about that point.
Yeah, I think this is also showing that there's other utility for actual crypto assets. Like this is now for nodes. It's not just, okay, I'm going to buy this token, hope it goes up and speculate on it. There's actual utility for the computation of these nodes, and it's used. I mean, that's just really powerful. And layer 2 is really the next step. And this is why you and I have been screaming from the rooftops. 99% of these tokens are not going away. Not like I'm going to continue to say this. And the facts are the facts and the trends. We are going to continue to get more and more tokens that will lead to more and more investable opportunities and way to earn yield and revenue streams. So you need to put it in your head. This is just my opinion, but it's also based on fact that we keep getting more and more dApp tokens with these layer 2 networks and these dApp ecosystems developing. There's just more tokens coming out. They're governance and they have utility. They're all not going to be, the reserve currency of the world, but they have utility on nodes. You can't use the US dollar for that. And we're going to see more. And governance tokens like YFIN, for example, and TCN, they're just all new. How many new tokens are going to come just from the Flare network? So I just tired of people saying 99% of these tokens are going to go away. Meanwhile, we're just exploding with new use cases and more utility and new tokens than ever. So, I mean, just the facts are the facts. And if you just think in your head, these are all going to go away, you're going to miss out on all the opportunities. And I think there's going to be tremendous opportunity in the next few years. But to be honest here, Patty, I think this project, we should put realistic here. It's looking like this is going to be something more towards 2022 with Evernodes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they haven't put out a timeline. It's reliant on some other stuff like the Hooks Amendment passing that they don't particularly have control over. They also are putting together their hot pocket like node cluster system, and something called Sashimono, which is it's called like a daemon. It's very hard to pronounce, but it's a way for their node clusters to communicate with the layer one XRPL blockchain. So the hooks are very much going to be important in getting this project off the ground. Otherwise, if that doesn't pass, then they will look to launch this on another layer one blockchain. And they put, like, just as examples, it could be like Ethereum or Binance Smart Chain. Maybe Flare if it can't go on the XRPL. But personally, I'm really hoping it can, because they have some other components to this where they're trying to come up with a self-sovereign KYC solution for the XRP ledger accounts through something called iXRPL. That looks really interesting. And then additionally, on top of this, which we didn't mention, they're going to have a native currency or native asset for this Evernode ecosystem, and it's going to be called Evers. There will be about a 31, just shy of 31 million total supply, with like a 58-year distribution schedule, and 8% of that total supply will be an airdrop for XRP holders at some date to be named later in the future. And I think that equates to about 2.6 million Evers being airdropped to XRP holders, excluding like Ripple and their execs and groups like that, similar to what Flare did.
So is this a fifth airdrop, Patty? It would technically be for XRP holders. It's going to be a technical fifth when it happens.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you can
Yeah.
parlay the original Spark one into a couple different ones now. So
Four.
yeah, we're getting a nice little like tree branch going out in all the
Mm-hmm.
different directions.
I know it's hard for many to believe. It's like, well, why are we getting this stuff for free? What's the catch? What's the catch here? And I see that a lot. What's the catch? What do they want us to do? And it's really no catch. It's that you're at the foundation here and you're established community. So the catch is that you're a community. So participate. And that's really what these airdrops are about. It's not just giving you free money. It's okay, here's an airdrop. Who's going to participate and be an actual community member? Because there's one thing about being community members and researching and understanding the industry, but we're in this transition right now where communities in crypto are turning into actual real communities. We're going to have governance. We're going to be part of a network, and we'll have a say, and we'll be on there, not just, oh, when the price goes up, we're out, goodbye. If you're in the community, will last because it will have reason and continually earn your rewards. Will you run a node? Will you do things like that? So Evers is really a way. They say it right in the white paper, the same way Flare did their airdrop of Spark, they will do of Evers in the future. And the hooks amendment, I just want to touch on, Patty. I believe it's on the testnet and devnet on the XRP ledger.
Yes.
And I think they said they're pretty confident that it will pass in the fall once it's ready to go. So I don't think we have to worry about it going to another blockchain unless something unforeseeable happens on the XRP ledger. And I think that hooks is big because it will also help the side chains be able to be more decentralized too.
Absolutely. And I do want to add on to your participation piece. We are being blessed with a bunch of airdrops currently, but if the XRP community really lacks in participation with Flare or with this Evernode project that's coming out, and other projects are looking, oh, well, what communities should we bootstrap off of? That can stop at some point. So that's really why we do preach
Mm-hmm.
participation. I mean, with a lot of these things, at least on Flare, there's a super base level that you can do, and that's delegating your governance vote to somebody and also delegating your Spark vote to the FTSO. That's really easy. You don't have to keep up with it. You can just do it once if you want. And like, that's what I'm talking about, like base level participation. Obviously, more people will go farther than that. But if we can get the majority of the community participating in that way, and whatever will be helpful to this Evernode project in the future, like whether it's running nodes or getting a sufficient enough people to help out with that, these are things that will benefit us all going forward as new projects come online and decide where they're going to launch and how they're going to distribute their token. So I really don't think that should be, I don't want that to be lost on people, that just because we're getting them
Mm-hmm.
now doesn't mean it's going to happen forever. And we're getting it because they're like, all right, we believe this community knows enough, they can figure out what we're offering, and they'll bring their value into our project. So instead of having people pay to get in the project, they're giving them some value to start using the project. It's kind of like, I mean, it's almost like a freemium model. It's like you get to start using some of this, but then like you can bring more value in the future if you like what we have to offer.
Exactly. And that could go both ways. So if the XRP community is seen as being very participating and really most of the community has really built up Flare Network, Songbird, Flare Finance, we'll get more airdrops in the future as Spark holders and on the XRP ledger if we participate. And I think that is really going to take a shift, which I see happening already, away from exchanges, away from this idea of just keeping everything on the exchange. I'm just here to buy and sell, and then I'm out, and that's my exit plan. So we're moving away from that exit plan strategy to more of I'm participating and a community member in multiple networks here, and I'm going to be here for the long term. I can still take my profits, but why am I going to leave when something is just being built? And now we're moving to layer 2. We're moving to where all the applications are starting to be built. I think this is the most exciting time for crypto because now we're starting to see the actual applications come out that are built on top of these underlying networks. And that's where really all the exciting stuff is going to happen. And, we just need to understand that it's more than exchanges. And I just want to reiterate that keeping your assets on a centralized exchange is kind of like an oxymoron. It's like you're buying into crypto, but I'm going to trust this exchange to distribute this to me, or I'm going to trust this exchange and then utilize that. So we have this opportunity with these new decentralized wallets to be able to do everything right from there. So I think we need to move more in that direction and stop looking at like prices on exchanges and everything at the exchange level, because exchanges are built on legacy tech. They do nothing to do with blockchain. They do all their trading on legacy databases, and they're not on a blockchain. So, if you're using an exchange, you're really not doing anything with blockchain at all. So just keep that in mind. I know people say, well, if you use PayPal, you can't take it off there. Well, Coinbase isn't that much different, except you could take it off there. But otherwise, it's pretty much the same thing. So I just think we should look more to on-chain, like the XRP ledgers DEX and these layer 2s and what Flare's building. It's just that's where the activity is more on-chain applications that are built on the blockchain or above it on layer 2s.
Yeah, and I mean, look, like exchanges are a necessary evil, in my opinion, still at this point, just because there's not enough like liquidity pairings out there on all these dexes. But that's something that's starting to change, especially with like the ecosystem that we're in and kind of the coins that a lot of the XRP community trades between. We're gonna see those getting listed on Flare Network. You could start seeing, those kind of tokens brought over to the XRP Ledger DEX, so we can start getting away from having to trade, solely exclusively on these centralized exchanges. And yeah, I just think that's exciting and just, a natural evolution that's going to occur. I mean, I would love to see like a, exchange project just basically launch their exchange on a blockchain that's all verifiable, whether that be like a side chain with the XRP ledger or some other smart contract network. I think those are really cool things to look forward to.
Well, we have something similar to that launching, and it's called Standard Custody and the Polysign blockchain.
Yeah, for institution.
For institutions to start. But
Yeah.
what it does is it's showing where the evolution of the market is going. And I think that's important. And it's something that everyone thought, oh, Polysign was this big secret thing. Well, now we know about it. It's just funny. Nobody wants to talk about it. So let's talk about it here for a second. What does the Polysign blockchain do? It memorializes transactions from institutions' wallets. Now, institution is able to say if they're a hedge fund and then they have individual clients, they could give out individual wallets to those clients to then trade. And that's something that you can't do right now. You just have to make an exchange account on an exchange. What Standard Custody is offering is their hedge funds to have their own individual wallet, and then they could offer their customers their own individual wallets, and they're all linked back to it, and they could trade freely from multiple different exchanges. And those trades are then memorialized and there's an audit trail on the Polysign blockchain. So it's not an actual exchange, but I think you call it kind of like a transaction layer and settlement layer without the counterparty risk. You Absolutely. Use that escrow service, and then it's multi-party computation wallet. So once we could get that into retail, which is coming in the future, like there's going to be a day when no more private key worrying about it, no more nano ledgers and hardware wallets. Like that's coming in the next few years. Like I think that will be all outdated once multi-party computation, even SBI's institutional wallet, all multi-party computation wallets. Like that's where we're going in the future. Once that gets down to retail, then we'll be able to have the ability to interact with all different dApps, blockchains, without having to worry about our private key and still getting then some of the benefits of, having a custodial wallet. And that's what I think is coming in the future. Even Ripple's wallet now that they're sending out to institutions are going to be similar to that.
Awesome. Well, I think this is a good point to wrap, Mickey. So this is the DeFi Standard. I'm Patty XRP, and
I'm Mickey B. Fresh.
we're out. See y'all.